Hello, and welcome to the back room, where we talk about politics around the world, across the country, right here in New York, and even in the Bronx. My name is Lisa Schiffren. I'm your host. I'm a former Republican speechwriter.
David Eisenbach, presidential historian.
And tonight's guest is Bebe Ahmed, who is a former teacher who is running for the Westchester County Legislature in District 14. Welcome, Bebe.
Good evening. Well, thank you, Lisa, and thank you, David, for having me on. I'm happy to engage in all the hot topics of the day.
That's great. We're going to start with the Knicks game, which happened last night, game 3 out of 7. Unfortunately, the Knicks lost. Unfortunately, I would say, Donald Trump, who insisted on attending, was booed in the stands repeatedly. What do you think of that, David?
Well, they tried to avoid that by doing it in the middle of the national anthem, putting him up on the jumbo screen, but it didn't work. And then to top it off, he gets seen on camera sleeping in the middle of the Knicks game next to James Dolan. So it reconfirms all of the storyline about how he falls asleep in meetings and he's not on top of things. So it wasn't a good night for Trump or the Knicks.
Well, certainly not for the Knicks. I think Trump will live through this. Trump does not expect New York to provide a lot of support for him. I mean,
yeah, but he looked weak. He looked bad. And right now, in the middle of a war, for him to be going to a Knicks game, and this comes along with doing a UFC fight on the White House lawn and this ridiculous concert with Milli Vanilli that canceled on him. I mean, it's just like one sort of silly thing after another, grasping at straws.
You know, I think those other two things, the concert where entertainers are backing out because they think it's, quote, too political, when they've all done Democratic functions, and the UFC fight, which, whether fighting is your taste or not, it's certainly not mine, it's a totally legitimate and traditional. I looked this up. It turns out that Abraham Lincoln was a semi-professional wrestler before he became president, and Theodore Roosevelt held boxing matches in the White House, some of which he himself fought in. So this is not, it's not new to bring physical fighting between men to the White House.
Interesting, but there are two presidents who are in the Wrestling Hall of Fame. One was Abraham Lincoln, and the other, Donald Trump, because he was involved with the WrestleMania and the professional wrestling. So yeah, I mean, it is within the tradition, but in the middle of a war where Americans are dealing with higher gas prices and higher prices in general, it just doesn't feel.
We've got to celebrate the 250th somehow. I mean, I'm a little disappointed that we're not seeing more actual celebrations. I remember the 200th anniversary, I'm that old, where there were actual events. What do you think, Bebe?
I'm going to jump on what David said about looking bad. It looks a lot better than somebody that cannot climb stairs and is talking to people that do not exist. So yeah, maybe the president at 80 or so forth could get a little tired. We certainly do. In terms of the booing, I would say that look at the crowd. We are, first of all, Lisa, you're correct. We're in the middle of a super liberal blue city, New York City, number one. So who's there? Who's attending? And then when you look at courtside, you see all the celebrities coming out, out of California. So the audience is very on the left-leaning part of the aisle, I would say, and they're going to boo. And that's fine. It doesn't break or make anybody at that point.
Right. Well, I think he could have gotten any arena in America with food. Right now, his numbers are in the toilet. He's heading for disaster in the midterm. All these kind of side projects, the Lincoln Memorial reflecting pool, the arch, it just feels ridiculous.
The reflecting pool looks to me like a total win. Like he cleaned up a dirty reflecting pool that had trash in it and that wasn't reflecting anything. He made it look nice. I think that's nice.
Well, it kind of looked massive suburban swimming pool now lost any of the subtlety of the original design by painting it this aquamarine. So
Just
if that's
because
your
we are
taste, and it's
urbanites doesn't
definitely
mean that
Donald
we should.
Trump's taste, sure.
I was going to say, just because we are urbanites doesn't mean we should criticize suburban swimming pools. I think, I think that's a major
I love a
American
suburban
aesthetic.
swimming pool, by the way.
Yeah, no, who doesn't?
If I may, the cleaning up the pools and fixing them is just a larger reflection, pun intended, of cleaning up DC. So all of it needs to be addressed, and I think the president is addressing all of that. If we're fighting over aesthetics, as you say, how is that even helpful? But all of this is a reflection of our capital at a seminal moment, our 250th birthday anniversary. It's important. All of this is important. And I agree with you, Lisa. I came on July 4th, 1976 to this great nation and certainly grew up here. And this is my land. And we need more. We need more. So you may laugh
We
at...
need more what?
We need more celebrations of this great nation and what it stands for. And if we're going to, chuckle at the UFC fight, maybe. Okay, that's fine. I'm not into that. But where are we doing things? We need to start and continue and maintain a very vibrant celebration of this here country.
Well, what happened to the big infrastructure project that we were promised? He was going to be the infrastructure president, building bridges, repairing the bridges, repairing the roads. That never has happened. America wanted that kind of investment, not silly stuff like a triumphal arch, a $1 billion White House ballroom.
I think that ballroom is a long overdue necessity.
Who is screaming for a new ballroom?
You
No
know,
one was talking-
apparently many presidents have wanted such a thing because the room they've currently got seats 100 people, and that's
So
too
what?
small. It's too small
Right
for.
now, this is something we're worried about. How many guests that the White House can have at a ballroom?
I don't see anything wrong with worrying about that.
$1 billion?
You know what? Trump is a builder. He wants to leave his mark. This is
He should
an
have left
easy
it on the
goal.
infrastructure in America, not on a ballroom.
Well, he certainly has left it on the infrastructure in America, right here in New
Where?
York. Many parts of Midtown Manhattan are Trump buildings.
Oh, I'm saying as president of the United States, we have major infrastructure issues. Our stuff is crumbling. This was a major talking point during runs for president, but he's done nothing. Where's the bridge? Where's the tunnel that he's built?
Well, he's working on it. I mean, he's working on this stuff.
Yeah, but he doesn't seem to be promoting it. Instead, he's hyper focused on this reflecting pool in a ballroom that nobody said, this is something we need to take care
I
of.
strongly
I don't know. I disagree with you.
I strongly disagree. And I think that's a focus of left leaning, where we're focused on the pool and the ballroom and so forth. What about Venezuela? What about Iran? What about all of these other places? Cuba's next. The president has maintained a vibrant and multifaceted foreign policy, domestic policy. We are moving bills through. Let's talk about the bridges.
No, you know what? I'm going to cut
No?
you off here.
Cut
Let's
me off.
talk about Iran. Let's talk about that seriously. Today, or yesterday, the Iranians bombed, knocked down a helicopter, an Apache helicopter. The two pilots were saved. But today we're firing back on them. This is penny ante nonsense. I am distressed that President Trump has given up on this war, that he seems to think that the Iranians genuinely want a deal, and the deal they seem to want is that nothing happens, that they give up nothing. They don't want a deal. They have never wanted an honest deal in their lives. I think it's time to revert to a little bit more warfare and take out the IRGC.
Yeah, we tried. We eliminated their entire leadership. It didn't work. Just as I predicted months ago when this thing started, right? We are losing this one. The Iranians have knocked out 13 U.S. bases in the Gulf. We've had to evacuate them. Our Gulf allies are now shifting so that they want to make a peace because they got to live with Iran because we didn't do regime change. And now Donald Trump always promising ceasefire. We got a deal. We got a deal. It's 2 days away. He He said that the other day. It was going to happen by Wednesday.
Well, you know,
He's
arming.
open to meeting with the Ayatollah, the same man whose father and child and wife he killed. And Donald Trump's happy to meet with the Ayatollah. It's
Yeah,
taco.
I'm
Trump always chickens out.
I'm very upset about this. I am certainly believe in regime change, although regime change is very, very hard without boots on the ground and without arming the Iranian people. And I feel like we should have done more to arm them. I feel like our special forces should have been in there with the Mossad arming the dissidents. What do you think, Bebe?
I will agree. It is so difficult, after our experience with Vietnam, every American is against boots on the ground, and for various reasons, and rightly so. Regime reform is possible. You're looking at Iran. You're looking at a civilization that goes back about 5,000 years. You're not looking at Venezuela, that had the systems in place of a democratic country in the past and Western systems that we're used to. We cannot just impose regime change. It will take, I don't know if it'll ever come. What you do want is regime reform. You want a friendlier Iran to the West, obviously the United States. In terms of...
I don't see how we get that with the IRGC in place, because the IRGC has now kind of taken over the functions of the civilian government. The civilian government was bad enough, but it did look as if they were willing to compromise a little bit. The IRGC, nothing.
I think backroom, just like the show, I think backroom negotiations and talks are going to be very different from what is presented from Trump and from Iran. I think backroom deals are happening. The Pakistanis are involved, along with other Middle Eastern nations that can see both sides, right? Negotiation. You can't get everything, right? But you are going to have to give up some things. The halt to nuclear ambitions of Iran has to be. There's no negotiating about that.
No,
and that's
I
something.
agree.
And they're going to be pushing. But the three items. That's item number one. Number two.
No, you know what? Unfortunately, we're out of time. We have to go to a break. Welcome back. We were right in the middle of talking about Iran. Bebe was giving us her reasons for what ought to happen. Please go ahead.
Right. No negotiation around, well, no movement around Iran having nuclear weapons. So that ambition has to be cut off. Nothing to talk there. However, we need to look at the control of the Strait of Hormuz. And right now we have Iran as a de facto kind of controller of the Strait of Hormuz, where we have 20 to 30% of our global shipping passes through. So that's on the table for negotiation and fix it. The last thing that Iran needs to and is asking for is some kind of compensation. I think 12 billion into at the beginning of this negotiation, and another 12 billion of their assets being either freed up, the sanctions being lifted, and getting some sanction relief to the country. I think that will move the needle quite a bit for Iran's side of the negotiation, and it's something that the United States is, I think, willing to do. I think that's on the agenda.
Unfortunately, I don't see Iran agreeing to giving up its nuclear weapons at all. What do you think about that, David? Do you think Iran?
Well, they'll say that they're give up on the nuclear weapons, and remember how Trump criticized the Obama nuclear deal, right? We only gave him 1.6 billion. Now Trump's going to give him 26 billion, and they're going to have the ability to charge environmental protection fees for every tanker that goes through the Strait of Hormuz.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So Iran is going to wind up with more money in a stronger position, a dominant position in the Middle East. America is going to have to evacuate its bases, or at least put billions into rebuilding them. We lost the war.
I don't think we've lost it yet, but I certainly don't think Trump is doing the right things. On that note,
26 billion. If you flipped your lids over 1.6 under Obama, how do you feel about 26 billion from Trump?
I feel very negatively about it. Let's move to something we have a whole lot more control over, which are the congressional primaries in New York. David, you had some thoughts on that?
Well, we got two really interesting races. We got the mid-Manhattan with Michael Lasker, who's the establishment candidate. He's got the endorsement of Jerry Nadler and Gail Brewer, and Mike Bloomberg is pouring money into his campaign versus Jack Schlossberg, right? This Kennedy, this young guy, nothing on his resume, but he's got the charisma. And my prediction is Jack takes the race.
Jack what? Takes the race? Schlossberg, really? He, as you say, he has nothing on his resume. He went to Harvard Law School and never bothered to get a job, which is shocking. Although I suppose he could afford that. He probably didn't need student loans like normal people. I don't see the charisma. I don't see the charisma in most Kennedys, but I really don't see the charisma in this obnoxious kid who does nothing but goof around on social media. What do you see?
Well, you guys must know a lot more than me, being in Westchester. But Jack has the pedigree, right? He has the Kennedy's background. He is the son of Carolyn, right? So he does carry a lot of weight with that. What I'm seeing is that he's raised the most amount of money, right? So that's crucial to a campaign race. In terms of all of this may mean nothing, but it may mean all of this. How do these candidates, whoever gets Nadler's seat, how does that affect New York City? And that's what I'm concerned about. How does it move the needle for safety in New York City, for monies and development in New York City, or do they just continue to kowtow to Mamdani's policies?
I think Schlossberg is so unserious that I cannot imagine him doing anything useful for New York in Congress. I think he'll just play.
Well, he's not going to just go along to get along, which is what you're going to get with Mike. He's going to be another Jerry Nadler. He'll take all the liberal positions and then go back to sleep as soon as he's elected.
Well, why don't you support that? Wait a minute. You're a liberal. Why don't you support that?
A do-nothing sort of drip in the most important congressional district in America? No, of course not. You want somebody dynamic. Jack Schlossberg, for the weakness of his resume, does have the charisma, and he's a Jewish candidate, that he could represent that district
I
quite
find that embarrassing as a Jew.
well. Now, another interesting race is the Dan Goldman versus Brad Lander
Two
race. This
Jews.
is the district in Lower Manhattan and in Brooklyn. Brad Lander he cut the deal with Mondami during the mayor's race to drop out, endorse Mondami, go on Stephen Colbert to reassure New Yorkers that Mondami's not an anti-Semite. In return for that, he's gotten Mondami's backing in this congressional race.
So he's a
Really
liar.
political.
He's just a liar.
Well, it's politics. And as a result of that, Brad Lander is going to unseat Dan Goldman, which is not an easy thing to do with an incumbent.
Why do you think he's going to unseat him? I think people are not as happy with Mondami as they might have been, and they're not going to follow his lead.
It's a Brooklyn district. It needs a Brooklyn representative, and Brad Lander's got the grassroots support in places like Park Slope and Windsor Terrace and Brooklyn.
I don't know. I think Dan Goldman is liberal enough.
Well, it's not about. They're both kind of the same on their positions. One's from Manhattan, one's from Brooklyn, tied into the Brooklyn machine. That's where the votes are in the primary. The race is really set for Brad Lander by default.
You're saying, and both of you are saying, well, especially you, David, that they're basically the same guys in different boroughs. I just worry about.
You're not going to get any difference in terms of votes and
Right.
policies from any of these.
So these
It's
three,
more of presentation and location.
correct. I just think it's negative impact for the New York City. For New York City, I think it's just going to be more dangerous things, or maybe not supportive things for this global city to grow and to be stronger. I think it's just going to lead any one of them. I don't agree with their policies, and I don't think it's common sense, and I don't think it's middle of the road. It's too far left for this city.
A congressional race that I'm interested in is the one in my district. Richie Torres, who is certainly a liberal Democrat, but very good on issues I care a lot about. Richie Torres is being opposed by Michael Blake, who was a guest on this show once. Blake is running far, far to the left of Torres and has come out against Torres because he takes money from AIPAC and is using all of the traditional anti-Semitic slurs to undermine him with his constituents. I don't think it's working. I think Michael Blake will not succeed to any great extent. What do you think, David?
Well, Blake is challenging a very formidable opponent. I mean, Richie Torres. The only weakness right now is the fact that he's been so pro-Israel. That in this climate right now, where people are very, very angry at Israel, its approval rating is now, disapproval rating is about 60% nationwide. And in that district, yes, you have very, very pro-Israel sections, but the other section is not so. So, Michael Blake, can he defeat Richie Torres? I don't think so. But nonetheless, the vulnerability of Richie Torres is not to be underestimated.
Yeah, maybe. As long as he wins, I'm happy.
What's going on in Westchester?
What's going on in Westchester?
Yeah, tell us about your race.
Well, my race is against an incumbent, placed there by Daddy, who's 60 years in the political scene in Yonkers and a sliver of Mount Vernon. So that's the seat. A good chunk of Yonkers and a sliver of Mount Vernon. So just put in by Daddy and maintained by his father there. So people literally, I've been told that they don't like the incumbent, but they vote because of his father. So retired New York City high school teacher, raised my family in Yonkers, my 2 children, educated, own my property. I say that because my incumbent still lives in Daddy's home and doesn't pay $14,000 in property taxes that I basically do. So I don't know if he's a good reflection of his constituents. I certainly think I am. So we are.
What are the big issues in your race?
The bigger issues are, as I mentioned, property taxes. Westchester became a sanctuary city, buttressed and voted for by my opponent, and they denied it. It's on the law. It's on the books. The idea about sustainability, New York State, and of course Westchester County, is being oppressed by the economics of our energy bills, our homeowner taxes, our prices, everything that we are feeling across the nation, but especially in the most affluent county in the United States, if not the most affluent. But we are being oppressed economically with these prices, with the sustainability. Young people can't buy homes anymore in that county. Young people are finding it hard to rent places with families. Literally, I have a family next door to me, to my home, and they're trying to buy another home. 2 young children. We want community. What's happening in Yonkers is that the mayor is just in bed with developers that do not add to community. Do not, the children do not go to the school down the street like my children did. They do not add to a sense of community, a sense of belonging, a sense of care in the community. That's what suburbs should look like. Not only, I would wish that for the cities too, but suburban life should look like that and feel like that. And that's not being fostered by Westchester County Board of Legislators, and specifically the city of Yonkers, our mayor, who's actually gone against state law and chosen to raise property taxes against and over 2.5%, as set by Albany.
My understanding is that Westchester has the highest property taxes in the country.
Yes. It is the most affluent or one of the most affluent counties in. So you have Scarsdale, you have Rye, you have Eastchester, you have very, very expensive pockets in Westchester that generates a lot of revenue. And I like to put some brakes on that.
Well, we wish you the best of luck. And on that note, we're going to say goodnight, and please join us in 2 weeks when we're back. Thank you.